down from Mina Kimes. She does great work as an NFL insider, NFL analyst, and she's working with, I believe, the Ringers, Kevin Clark, and they're ranking the top coaches in the NFL. I think are ranking all the coaches in the NFL. And I was surprised at this, and so was Kevin Clark. I think he had D'Amico Ryan's ranked at 11th on his list. And she ends up telling, Kevin Clark that she likes D'Amico so much, she's put him in her top 10. She's got him at number 9 overall, even after just one season, after just his rookie campaign as a head coach. Here is what Mina Kimes had to say about why she ranked D'Amico Ryan so high in her head coach rankings.
Who's your 9?
D'Amico Ryans.
I thought about that. He's my 11.
I just think this dude has it. I think he is so clearly good at everything it requires to be an elite head coach, both the management side, the leader of men's side, the hiring side, the play calling side. I mean, this is a defense that was obviously terrible before he arrived. They added some talent, but immediately jumped to top 10 in success rate. His team, his defenses have such a obvious identity. They just play harder. They tackle more. They rally to the football. I find it so gratifying to watch his defenses play and to see that immediately in year one in Houston. Obviously took a big leap this year, making the playoffs.
All right. That's Mina Kimes saying, yeah, she's got him as a top 10 head coach. I hadn't thought about that, actually. As all this discussion has been about CJ Stroud as being a top 10 quarterback. And I believe almost everybody you'd ask who loves the NFL, studies it, is an insider or an analyst for the league, covering the league, would say that CJ Stroud is a top 10 quarterback. I don't know if we would even get pushback on that. Do you think? I think you get pushback on saying he's a top 5 quarterback.
Oh yeah, I think you get pushback on that, but I'm with you on top 10. I look through all the teams and I have him as the top 10. I have him at, I think you could find 8 guys that there's a conversation about. And then,
no doubt.
So you say 8 guys that are, so you put him in that, he's basically, there's probably 10 guys that are in the conversation to be top 10. And then there's maybe a bit of a drop off, but unless you're going to put, that's the question, is Deshaun Watson still going to be in that category?
That's what we don't know. Yep.
There's some quarterbacks that maybe could be in that. Russell Wilson's not in that category anymore, clearly. But that's even putting in Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence and guys like that who probably who you wouldn't put in the conversation. I think that's adding them in. You're still around him being a top 10 quarterback. So
I agree. I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes, of course, is better than him, than Lamar Jackson, and then you got Joe Burrow, and then you got Josh Allen. Those are guys like in a different stratosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I put Aaron Rodgers where we say career-wise, he's won MVPs.
Of course, you throw in Rodgers in because he's still playing. Yeah, no doubt about that. Aaron Rodgers is definitely better. So I'm with. I say you can name 7, 8 quarterbacks, and then you get to whether you think, like you said, is Deshaun Watson still considered a top 10 quarterback? At one point, he was a top 5 quarterback, honestly, or in that conversation. But lately, I'll admit, we have not seen the same Deshaun Watson. So I think he is, but like I said, it could be. I haven't seen a lot of people debate that just based on the rookie season that he had. But like I said, you could. I think he is.
Yeah,
but it got me thinking. Yeah, go ahead.
And let's be clear, for one season he was, and if you want to say he will have a sophomore, then fine, he drops out of it. But as of right now, if we're walking into the season ranking who we're going to take as their top 10 quarterbacks, he's a top 10 quarterback.
And here's the question: is basically Jared Goff? Is Jared Goff better than CJ Stroud? Because here's the debate you get into, right? Because you say Patrick Mahomes is better, and we'll get into my question about top 10 in both head coach and quarterback. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes is better. Lamar Jackson is better. Josh Allen is better. Matt Stafford is better. If you want to throw that out there, I'm with you about Aaron Rodgers. You throw him out there that he's better. And then you start getting into, like I said, is Jared Goff considered better? In their opinion, is
Kyler Murray,
is Brock Purdy? Yeah, Kyler Murray. Like I said, then you would get it depends on your preference, and I guess you could say no, I got him right outside the top 10 because I got these guys ahead. I think he's kind of bottom of that group in the top 10. Then you get into Jordan Love. Do you like Jordan Love more?
I'd say with one season of work, he's a top 10 quarterback. But again, he's either going to prove that this year or disprove it. So
Yeah.
He's got that. But I'm with you. I have him there as a top 10. I have Dak as a top 10 quarterback too, guys. So
yes, then that's the Dak Prescott thing. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah,
I have.
Don't
I mean,
forget
he
about
was
Dak
second
Prescott.
MVP voting last year. It's hard for me to
Can't
not say
take-
he's
yeah.
not a top 10 quarterback.
Totally agree. Yeah. So like I said, I don't think he's at the bottom of that list of top 10 quarterbacks. Like I think you'd probably have CJ Stroud between 8 and 10, somewhere around there. But I do think he's in there. But this is the conversation. So how many teams, if Mina Combs is right that DeMeco Ryan is a top 10 head coach, how many teams have both a top 10 quarterback and a top 10 head coach in the NFL? How many have both? Kansas City's got both. Does San Fran have both? No. Because Purdy's. But what do we think about Purdy? Is Purdy even in the?
I
is
wouldn't
he
put
in
him in there
conversation?
yet because I just don't. I mean, I wouldn't put him in there. I think he's been
Don't
great.
like
And I
Purdy
mean,
that much.
I like Purdy, but again, I put him just out of that top 10 range.
So San Fran, no. Baltimore, yes.
Baltimore, yes.
John Harbaugh's a
Yeah.
top 10 head coach, and Lamar Jackson is reigning MVP. Rams, yes, because Stafford. Stafford.
I think Stafford. Yeah, Stafford. I'd say at this point in his career is now at the back of that 10 too.
I could see that. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't disagree with that at all. But he actually looked really good last year in a lot of times. But I'm with you. At this point, he could say he's at the back of that. How about the Bills? Is Sean McDermott a top 10 coach?
I mean, it's hard to say it now because of their postseason failures, which I mean,
I don't know if I got him as a top 10 coach. Maybe he is. I mean, we can have that debate. I just don't. I'm not sure he is actually. The fact that I'm unsure, I don't. Usually I would be kind of a no-brainer. So I'm going to say that's debatable. I don't know.
If he is, he's down at the bottom of that list. He's down at the bottom of the 10.
Down at the bottom of it. I agree with you on that too. I mean, yeah. So that's what about
Joe
Detroit?
Burrow?
Is Dan?
I'd say Joe Burrow and
you like Cincinnati. You like their coach to be a top 10 coach, Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor's done well. I mean, he's gone to a Super Bowl already.
And they did really well when Joe Burrow got hurt. Actually, they looked good.
Yeah, so I'd say Zach Taylor's a top 10 coach. If DeMeco Ryan's a top 10 coach, Zach Taylor's a top 10 coach, right?
Okay.
Am I wrong on that? I mean,
no, but I got to go back and because we should make the list. But
I agree. I'm just saying if they're a top 10, I think because if you say they both on the what the resume is, Zach Taylor in 2 years took him to a Super Bowl. So I mean, I just say he's got one more year that it took to, if DeMeco Ryan takes him to a Super Bowl this year, then they're in the same class. But I'll put him in there, just being objective.
Okay, I don't. It's hard to argue against that. If you're gonna put DeMeco in there, it's almost like by the same criteria.
Yeah.
You could put him in there and catapult him to the top of that list, or at least in that list of coaches and quarterbacks who are both considered top 10. Is Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence in that?
No, I'm not putting Doug Peterson in there anymore.
Yeah.
I like Doug Peterson.
For me, it's more about Trevor Lawrence. I like Doug Peterson a lot. Because Doug Peterson has won a Super Bowl already.
I agree.
It's more about can Trevor Lawrence take a leap to be a top 10 quarterback. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is in the top 10.
I think the combination of them
Doug
two.
Peterson is closer to being a top 10 head coach than Trevor Lawrence is closer to being a top 10 quarterback.
I'll say the combination of the two is why I'll take them out. Is because together they do not seem to be working.
No, I agree. Like I said, I think Doug Peterson is closer to it than Trevor Lawrence, but I agree. I'm not going to put him. You got to have both. What about Detroit?
Detroit?
Dan Campbell.
No, I'm not putting Jared Goff as a top 10. I like Jared Goff. I'm just not putting him as a top 10 right now.
Yeah, see, Jared Goff is still dealing with the perception of him as a bust too that I think people can't get over.
I just, I think he's had really good games and I think he's had really bad games and I think he's had everything. He's a really good player. He's right outside. He's in that, for me, he's in that right outside of, if we're talking about guys that you would clearly take, you would take certain other guys before him every day of the week. I think.
Yeah. No,
I think you have to have the right system.
Do you take Jared Goff or Dak Prescott? Who's better?
I'd probably take Dak.
I mean, Jared Goff has achieved more.
Yes. In the playoffs, especially.
He's won playoff games for two different squads. You gonna take the guy that can't win a playoff game, or you gonna take the guy that can win a playoff game? with two different squads, two different offenses, and then we still talking about. I think Jared Goff, there was a perception that dude was a bust, and then he was a throwaway quarterback and a bridge quarterback, which all the things he has been, but he also overcame those.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he was better than Dak this past year, but he's achieved more than Dak.
He has, yeah.
I mean, go look at the stats. I bet the stats aren't that much different in the last few years. I'm just throwing it out there.
All right.
You know what I mean? Because the perception thing.
You're doing Jerry's work for him now.
No, I'm not, but it's just because you did a great job of making the case for Zach Taylor. Yeah. And I was just like, actually, I didn't thought about that, but he has achieved more than I thought. Same thing with Jared Goff's achieved a lot more than y'all thought. The truth is, because he has been a bust at one point in people's minds. He
won a playoff game in Detroit.
He won exactly in Detroit. We still don't want to give him his flowers, but I think because at one point in his life, he has been a bridge quarterback, a throwaway quarterback, a stopgap quarterback, a bust. He was all those things, but also now is a franchise quarterback, and also is a Super Bowl quarterback that started in the Super Bowl. Also a quarterback that's won playoff games for multiple teams. He is all those things.
He is all those things. Resume wise,
I think it hurt. It hurts him and it helps him because in your mind, I think it hurts him a little bit. And it's like because you think about the negative things he has been and defined as, and I think about those too. But I'm thinking about now all the positive stuff he's done, like getting to a Super Bowl. Like, but is that more about Sean McVay? And most people I would give more props to Sean McVay than go to him. But then what he did with the Lions, we didn't think Dan Campbell was a great coach.
We think Ben Johnson.
I love how he gets Jared Goff gets no credit.
I'm just
He's
saying
never
that's
going to
who's getting credit. I'm just saying who's getting credit.
No, it's right. I'm not saying you're wrong. Yeah. I'm just saying like Jared Goff will never get credit, no matter what he does. Like, so it's Ben Johnson now. I was like, yeah, it's Ben Johnson. Like, when is he going to get some credit?
6-time Super Bowl champion Jared Goff. Hard pass.
Hard pass. No, but it's an interesting exercise. I don't know. I think you convinced me about the Cincinnati.
I'll give you another one to throw out there. The Chargers.
That's a good one. That's a great one. Jim Harbaugh now, and I love me some Jim Harbaugh. You know that.
Love Jim Harbaugh. Justin Herbert, though. We know what this guy is capable of. We see what he does, but he hasn't put it together into a winning season over time. And he's had a ton of weapons, but is it coaching? Is it versus? That's one. That 2 top 10. It's got to be right.
That's Harbaugh for me. I love me some Harbaugh, man. I'd put Harbaugh right now among top 10 coaches. I love me just as a ball coach. Period. I love me some Jim Harbaugh. Ooh, Justin Herbert, is he a top 10 guy? That's good. That's a good conversation. I think I gotta watch more Justin Herbert. I gotta admit, I don't see enough Justin Herbert. I've watched Justin Herbert but when are the Chargers on a nationally televised game? They haven't been on. They will be now because of Jim Harbaugh. Yeah. But they hadn't been on nationally televised games as much. So I've watched him, but mostly when everybody else watched. I want to watch more of Justin Herbert. I got to admit that to be able to give him.
I want to watch Justin Herbert with this coaching staff. And this is it. True too. Because we thought the Kellen Moore thing was going to help, and it clearly didn't. And they didn't look like the team. They also basically benched Austin Eckler because they didn't want to pay him.
You're right about that.
And so it's just last season was a weird season, and Brandon Staley was just awful as a head coach. So there was other issues on that team, but I don't know.
I like that Chargers one. No, that's good, man. That's good. That's kind of like that Bills one. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
that's how one to be determined. That's a TBD.
Yeah, I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more that I don't think is probably going to fall in, but the Eagles.
I know. I think before this year, people would have put 100% that just come out the Super Bowl. And Jalen Hurts. So,
I think both of them, and I think they both fell out last season.
Yeah, you're right. I think prior to last season. It was a no-brainer. They'd easily be at the top of that list. And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't think Sirianni's there because Sirianni might have been one of those kind of one-hit wonders. I don't know as a coach. Because he lost all those coordinators. He lost Shane Steichen, lost Jonathan Gannon. Both got head coaching jobs, and then everything falls to Ish. Like, come on, man. As a head coach, you can't let that happen. So, once again, TBD. I like
TBD.
That. Philly is also TBD. It's like Philly, the Chargers, the Bills. It's a big year for the Bills.
Hey, and
they're losing a lot.
We're talking TBDs. It's the Cowboys too.
Yeah, because Mike McCarthy, he did a really good job last year of bringing out the best in Dak, but they can't win no damn playoff games. I cannot have you as a top 10 head coach.
But he is a Super Bowl champion.
No, I know he is.
So if we're giving that to Doug Peterson, then we're giving it to Mike McCarthy.
Hey, listen, I didn't circle them. I have it as a TBD.
If we're giving it
I
to
have
Doug
Jacksonville as a
Peterson,
TBD.
I'm just saying if we're giving it to Doug Peterson, we're giving it to Mike McCarthy.
You're right about
because
that.
neither one of them has won playoff games with the team they're at now.
No, you're right. That's true. I put them as a kind of a TBD. I think the ones that are no-brainers are Kansas City's a no-brainer, Baltimore's a no-brainer. Honestly, you got Cincinnati on there. Is Cincinnati a no-brainer?
Because I don't know. I don't know if they're a no-brainer, but I think they're.
Yeah, because even Houston, I don't know if Houston's a no-brainer.
No, Houston's definitely not a no-brainer because
it's not a no-brainer.
I can't say 1 year sample size.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're hiring an employee and he's got one job and he had it for 1 year, you're going to tell me that's going to be a great employee for you. You feel okay hiring that person. You're going to look at it and go, I'm about to take a risk. So I'm going to say it's a risky. Well, I'm not saying it's a sure thing.
Right.
I can't.
It's the same knock we got against Sirianni. If no, we don't have enough of a sample size. I can't say he's a bad coach. I can't say he's a good coach.
No, and that's the thing with D'Amico that you're really to sit at. You go, is D'Amico Ryans one of those coaches who can coach guys that are not that great to be really, really good? Or is he someone that can make them great and win Super Bowls and get there? Or is there a ceiling on it? Because the Cavs and the Cavaliers in the NBA right now, they just fired Bernie Bickerstaff. Yeah. Bernie Bickerstaff took that team from garbage to a playoff team. And then they feel he is not going to take him a step further than that.
Ceiling.
Yeah, and there's a lot of coaches like that where they say you can get him here, but you can't get him over the hump. And that's where they feel. And so is D'Amico Ryans that guy? We have no reason to believe he can't be great, but at the same point, he has not proven that yet.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a great point. And sometimes it's situational, right? It's Andy Reid with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's like, no, you took us as high as you could. You took us to at the highest point that you could take us to. And then when you got Doug freaking Peterson, who is not as good of a coach as Andy Reid, but he was able to put him over the top to win the Super Bowl. It's like sometimes it's situational. It's like I'm a good coach, but had to go somewhere else, different environment, different situation, and then there you could flourish. So I know I agree with you on that. So interesting kind of thought experiment. I just want to say which. So there are a lot of teams I think that are this year on the cusp of being in that conversation to be a team with a top 10 head coach and a top 10 quarterback. But like I said, a lot to be determined by some of these squads. Detroit, the Bills, Jacksonville, even San Fran with Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Because this is a Brock Purdy payment year too, where they can't pay him early because he was a Mr. Irrelevant. They can't give him that early extension. So they have to kind of wait on it, and they want to sign him. But what does he do this year? Because you got to make decisions on Debo and Brandon Ayuk too, and there's a lot of money. Christian McCaffrey is aging. What are you going to do in all those positions? Because if you re-sign Brock Purdy to a bunch of money, get rid of Ayuk, and then you got Debo and Christian McCaffrey starts to fall off, and now you got George Kittle and Debo, and that's your offense. Is Brock Purdy still the guy?
I'm with you. You're right about that. This window, man, for the 49ers, that's why I think they are going to try to keep Ayuk. Remember, everybody thought they were going to trade Ayuk or trade Debo. It's like, no, we need to be all in because our window may not be as wide as we thought.
Yeah.
Because they don't necessarily know if Purdy is going to evolve to the point where he can